Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. So glad you're here. Saturday, we made it to Saturday, June 29th, 2024. My hair is wily and unkempt because I just took a shower and this is its natural state, no products in it. Fun fact, Mr. Record-ology's got calyx all over, and it's never been good hair. It's quite often a bad hair. But that's okay as long as it's a good day in general. I'll take a bad hair day any day I can. So as you come in, give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. And to those of you that haven't made the live and are watching the replay, thank you for being there. Anyway, I appreciate it. I know sometimes YouTube isn't the best at serving out those notifications. Even if you're subscribed, you select all and the bell notification, all that stuff. That sometimes it's hard to get those notifications, or you're just busy. And, 5:45 Eastern time on a Saturday night, you don't want to be watching a YouTube live. But for those of you that do and can and want to, I'm glad you're here. I'm very glad you're here. I love doing these. I think it was last weekend we did one where I reviewed some random records from the collection that I want to do more of these lives. And I had been kind of running on a pace of one a month, which, considering everything that I've been doing and going through, one a month was actually an achievement. By the way, I'm fighting some allergies, so if you see me wipe my nose, I apologize. This is not quite the same level of polished presentation that we try to do with the regular show. We're just hanging out. We're just friends hanging out, right? Wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Hopefully you're on the live here. To those of you jumping in, thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind a thumbs up. Hockey fan, do you have any hip-hop albums? I need more. I do listen to quite a lot of hip-hop music, especially Christian hip-hop music. I've got a Beastie Boys album there. I'm trying to think of any other vinyl I have on hip-hop, or hip-hop I have on vinyl. I need to get more. So that's all I have right now, I think. I think that's all I have. Is that right? I would love to get Paul's Boutique, by the way. That would be a good one to get. But no, my son and I actually listen to hip-hop quite a bit. Teddy, welcome in. Hello from Lake City, Florida. All right, not too far away. We are broadcasting live from Orlando, Florida, Central Florida, where it is pretty stormy out today, but it's a beautiful day as always. Humidity was just killer today, just killer. And to all of my Florida friends, it's just, we're just getting warmed up. I mean, talk to friends back in Colorado, and my son, for example, we're like, so how's the weather out there? And he's like, oh, it's brutal. It's like 81 degrees. And it's zero humidity. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know how bad that is. I mean, 81 with 100% humidity can feel worse than 100 with zero humidity. You know what I mean? Marcus, Music Mayhem. Hello, 1 week and a day from today I go on my way to Graceland. Oh, man, I'm so jealous. That's a bucket list item for me. My dad and I have decided we are going to go there together. We're both huge Elvis fans, and to be able to go in there, check out the Jungle Room and all this stuff. I've seen so much footage and pictures of Graceland that I feel like I've been there already. Fun fact, out here in Florida, Orlando, actually West Orlando, there is a 1-to-1 full-scale Graceland replica. It's a private residence. The house it's just the main part of the house. It doesn't have the pool or the outbuildings and stuff like that, but the main house is a 1-to-1 replica. I need to check this out. I really do need to check this out. And the fence, they've got the gate with the music notes and everything. Hockey fan says, I recommend Killer Mike. He's incredible. I'll have to check that out. Thank you for the tip. Marcus also says, so I guess you could say it's not the city beautiful today. It's still the city beautiful. It's so thanks for reminding me of the nickname, but it is absolutely gorgeous here. Every day I just thank God. I'm just like, yes, so glad we are here. Ole Frezzi, welcome in. Greetings from Dusseldorf, Germany. Thank you for jumping on here. I know it's late your time, but thank you for being here. Dave Boy Smith, good evening from South Yorkshire, England, 10:48 p.m. Yeah, it's late for you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Marcus says, fun fact. I say that too much. Fun fact, the original Graceland gates were painted red, not green. Interesting. I didn't know that. The more you know. All right. Well, welcome in, everybody else. Welcome in as well. Again, if you wouldn't mind a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. It lets YouTube know that something interesting is happening over here. Ralph Reinhardt, welcome in. Hi there from far NorCal. So glad you are here, Ralph. I'm so glad everybody is here. So I went record shopping today. There was a record show that I was contemplating attending last weekend, and it's the Orlando Record and CD Show. And I've been there a couple of times. They do it like quarterly, and it's a great show. It's good selection, multiple vendors. It's just perfect size. It's not too big. It's not too small. 90 minutes in and out. You can pretty well see everything, and that's just perfect for me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this time around. So this weekend, one weekend later, went record shopping at one of my favorite record stores, which is East West Records. It's south of Orlando. And they have these free nifty stickers. Now, I was planning to go down to St. Cloud, where they have, and we did go down there. They have a record shop called Batch of Music, and it's a small shop, smaller than East West. East West isn't huge by any means, but this one is even smaller. Haven't never been there, but it looked cool. Checked on Google, it said they were open. Drove down there, and they had a sign on the door saying, "We're closed today," which is a bummer because I wanted to check it out. I was peeking through the window. I was like, no. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been to a record shop, especially a new one? Especially if you're like traveling or something and you know you're not going to come back, and you're like peering through, like, no, look at all that cool stuff in there. It's happened to me multiple times. I will be back to this one. But yeah, they were closed today for no apparent reason. They just had a sign on the door saying they were closed Saturday the 29th. So made the drive over to East West. It was about 30 minutes north of there, still on the south side of Orlando. And had a great time, found some really cool things. Now, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but when I go record hunting, I get tunnel vision. I forget what I'm looking for. And if I'm sitting here and on a regular day here in the office / music room, I may think, wow, I really need to pick up some XYZ artist. I'm really looking for this. I would love to find that. But then when I get in the record store, I am like, what am I looking for? So finally, this isn't rocket science. Somebody's like, just write it down. So I took the notes app in my phone, and I took some notes this week on things I would like to find. And some things there's just would like to find. Some things I'm really looking for. There's nothing that I'm going to pay some ridiculous price for. But if it's a good deal, if it's something I'm looking for, pick it up. I don't like to spend. I'm not one of these guys that goes record hunting and drops $300-$400 on records. I can't afford to do that. But, I think I spent $35 today, something like that, maybe 25, 35, something like that. And that's kind of my spend on vinyl for every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks or so, which I'm very grateful to be able to do that. So I had some pretty good luck today. I pulled out my notes app, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. So all that good stuff. Alexander, welcome. Hello from Serbia. Wow. Thank you for joining us. Marcus says, I'm hoping to pick up some new Elvis music. And that's another one I need to add to my list because my Elvis, keep looking over here because it's over here, is too small of an Elvis collection. I have like 10 or 12 records. I need more. I especially want to get all the movie soundtracks. Those are my favorites. Ray says, did you hear Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, 60s and 70s coming out next month? No, I didn't hear that, but that would be cool. I would like that. Just dig and get lost. And that's something, you got it right, Marcus. I could totally get lost in there. Absolutely. And yes, I do spend more than I should too. I get tunnel vision. It's like, I do stupid stuff too. Like I wanted to check this out in real time, but I bought a record today that I probably paid too much for. And I'm going to kind of explain the emotional arc of how that happened. And then we're going to do a reality check on Amazon and see how bad of a deal I got. I don't think it's terrible, but I have a feeling it would have been cheaper had I gone on Amazon. But it wouldn't have been as fun as finding it in the shop, right? Plus, I want to support small business. I also love Walmart, but I want to support small business when I'm in a small business that has something I want. Okay. If I miss a comment, just put it in there again. I apologize. I'm terrible about comments. Teddy says, hey, find record shop in Glen St. Mary, 30 miles from my house. East of it is called Bearded Vinyl. I like the name of that. That's cool. Just put on Arthur Fiedler. What's your thoughts on him? So I embarrassed myself when it comes to Arthur Fiedler because I thought it was Arthur Fielder. And so I did a show about Arthur Fielder, and I was like, yeah, it's Fiedler. Great leader of the Pops Orchestra, just absolutely prolific career all the way from 78s to, through the disco era. I've got the Saturday Night Fever, I think it's Saturday Night Fiedler, disco. All the way into the 80s. It's a prolific career, all that fun stuff. So, okay, let's jump right into it. So I'm going to show you what I got. And then also a friend of mine sent me, we call them care packages, because every once in a while we just kind of save up stuff to send to each other. And I don't know if I've shown it on the show, so I'll save that to the end. But I do want to share. Also, keep the comments coming. I apologize for the sniffles again, fighting some allergies. The music aficionado corrected me. Oh, that's funny. So I'm not the only one. Well, thank you for that. Greg, welcome in, my friend. Brian just says, picked up King Crimson, USA Red. Chris says, I got a Crosley Revolution. He's a record players, USB. Yeah, that's cool. Those are cool. Those are really neat. That's one of the little Soundburger ones. I've got one of those. And it has a magnetic cartridge. Okay, so I don't know if you saw the thumbnail. I don't know if YouTube uses the thumbnails. I think it just shows a screen capture. But this is one of the records I picked up today. And yes, I did get the case. I took it out of the jacket for the thumbnail. And when I see this label, my first thought is, see if I can pan the camera over, is one of the few records I have on display. That's just right there. Patsy Cline, 1957 self-titled debut album. But that's not what this is. This is the First Lady of Song, Ella Fitzgerald. That's right, you guys. I am following through on something I said I was going to do last week. In fact, I think it was last week. I said that I really wanted to pick up some Ella Fitzgerald music. And that was one of the things on my list. I probably would have forgotten it had I not looked at my list that I've created. Such a simple thing can do such wonders. Also, I want to hear what you guys are looking for or have found recently. So I've been a fan of Ella Fitzgerald for many, many years. And I have like one CD, maybe two, but for some strange reason, I've never acquired any Ella Fitzgerald vinyl that I know of. And I say that because sometimes I'll discover something like, I didn't know I had this. So the mission for today, one of them was to find some Ella Fitzgerald. Now, this is a small record shop, like I said. I wasn't finding it, and I was like, do you guys have any Ella Fitzgerald? And they led me around to a couple of sections. I didn't see anything. And I kind of had given up on the idea and was looking for some other things. I found a couple of things at that point. But then I saw some records. Record shops have like piles of stuff kind of everywhere, which is great. I love that. It's overwhelming. There's so much stuff. And on the floor, there was maybe 20 records leaning up against the counter. And I'm like, are these like dollar records down here? Because they look like they were kind of rough condition. And they're like, well, we don't really know. Those are just brand new. Those are intake. We haven't even priced them yet. So I flipped through there and I found 4 Ella Fitzgerald records, which I grabbed all of them, hoping they'd be $1. Took them up to the register. And again, I'm not just going to buy something at any price. I'm not quite that foolish. I'm nearly that foolish, but not quite. They priced them, 2 of them for $8, 2 of them for $2. I got the $2 ones. I left the $8 ones. That's because it's kind of the last 2 things I picked up, and knew I was kind of pushing my threshold for what I could get away with. So the first record that I want to show you today was DL 8695, the First Lady of Song, Ella Fitzgerald on Decca Records. And if you haven't listened or don't recall or don't really usually think about Ella Fitzgerald, just fantastic, like virtuoso, not just a good singer, but a virtuoso, possibly the best technical singer of all time, and even more likely best female singer of all time. But it's so subjective, so I can't say that, but she's in the top 3 to 5 for sure on anybody's list, I would think. And I think I have done that list before. Interesting record. I want to point this out. You can kind of see it on camera. This texture it's like a kind of like a knurled texture. I can't even describe what this is. It's not like any record. This is I think they call this a tip-on sleeve, which I used to think was when the edge of this had a gap so you could grab the record out. That makes more sense. But it's when you have a sticker on a cardstock sleeve or a jacket. But that may be the glue degrading under the label, as you can see there. It makes for a very interesting texture. 8-tracks have that problem. A lot of 8-tracks, the labels will bubble up. This one's not too bad. A little bit on the edges there. So I kind of feel like that's maybe what's happening is it's deteriorating. That being said, the color still looks fantastic. On the back, you can see Decca, and you saw that label. That dates it there. We know this is now pre-1960, which is when Decca came up with that beautiful rainbow label. So this is a great. Let's see, what do we got on here? This looking for greatest hits. I got The World on a String. All the songs are going to be good, but I'm looking for like those top tier greatest hits songs. Yeah, there's a handful of known and lesser known songs on here, which is good. I want to collect more, so for a good price, I feel like $2 is fair for this. The record's in good condition. Now, I will, full disclosure moment here, say I am terrible. I have zero discipline when it comes to checking the records before I buy them, and I got burned on that today. I'm going to show you how. But that one was not the case with that. That one is in good condition. It's been well taken care of. It's a great looking record. So putting that back in its sleeve. I need to clean all these, and I need to put new sleeves, inner and outer sleeves on. All right, so that's the first one. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Brandon, welcome in. Hello there. May the vinyl be with you and also with you. Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing. I have like her one of her songbooks, Great American Songbook CDs, but her career is so prolific. It's kind of like Peggy Lee, where there's got to be 40 to 60 albums out there, and I will never get all of them. So I just need to get some of them and be happy with it. 4 CD set. That's cool. Recently got a Record Store Day 2019 Robert Johnson Delta Blues record put out on 78 RPM. I love it when they do the novelty stuff. That's cool. I do have a 78 stylus for my turntables. That's great. That's really great. Is it live or is it Memorex? And now I know with that reference that we're talking about the Ella Fitzgerald Memorex ad. Like the old Decca records. You know what? The old Decca records are amazing. They're rugged. And that one may be styrene. Some of the 12-inch Deccas like that with that label were styrene. I think my Patsy Cline is actually styrene, which is fine. They can sound good. Marcus says, I have been on an RCA Victor Living Stereo kick. Oh, yeah, you told me. That's great. I can't stop. I know. Living Stereo is fantastic. I love, and that's a rabbit hole. You get into the shaded dogs and all that stuff. Love it. Whittier Tennyson, welcome in, my friend. Marcus says, just like Glenn Miller, heavily bootlegged. Yep, absolutely. Miles High. Marcus, those Living Stereo ones are great. Like how it looks. I love that. Yeah, the Living Stereo is so, so cool. They sound fantastic. They are truly audiophile records. Looking to buy something like Ortophone, Concord, Music Bronze, or Black. Whittier. So I have one Concord cartridge. I got the DJ Mark II. I think this is the Mark II. Beautiful cartridge. And we reviewed this, and I honestly picked it largely because of the color scheme. I'm a Denver Broncos fan. I just love it. It's so beautiful. But the idea of a cartridge that just mounts to the tone arm with no head shell needed is intriguing. And it just looks amazing. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous cartridge. Metal construction. It's very heavy. The lift comes out. See that ring of plastic in orange? This whole thing will slide out if these get snapped off. Super rugged and super durable. However, after a while, I noticed it didn't sound as good as it used to. And I don't know if the stylus just wore out, but I get a lot of semblance issues with this, and I need to experiment with it more. Now, one of the risks with something like this is you can't align it. It is aligned, however, so that tone arm's S-shape or J-shaped arrangement is going to determine this. Now, oftentimes, when you have an S-shape or J-shaped tone arm and a head shell, you still make alignment changes with that cartridge in that head shell, but you can't do it with this. You can't do it with this. Now, it's a DJ cart, so it's got a mega rugged cantilever and boot. It's designed to just, be used for scratching. It's not a hi-fi listening cartridge. It's conical. It's fairly basic spec-wise. It's got about the same specs as the 3600. Not bad. There's no reason why it shouldn't sound perfect. But for me, that's something I've noticed. But I still love it. It's a pretty cartridge. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to get it put back there. You got yours for cheap from the thrift store. That's great. I have the Living Stereo sample record. This is Living Stereo. I may have that. That's cool. That's really cool. I have a few RCA Living Stereo box sets. I need to get more of those. I've got a ton. Not a ton. I've got quite a few RCA boxes. Or RCA. Well, yeah, they are RCA. Reader's Digest. I've got one Time Life box. I almost picked up a 40s, best of the 40s box. I do have one from Reader's Digest, but I saw a different one I don't have. Marcus says, I also have almost every RCA produced Glenn Miller box set, both 45 and LP. That's great. Do you have, let's see, do I have the case for that still? I don't know if I kept that, if I don't. There is a box. I've got it on 45, and I had the box, but not the records. No, I do, because I have the records. I have a 78 and 45. It was at four. It was like 4 records from 4 big bands. It was like Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, and maybe Duke Ellington or somebody. But what was crazy about it is the Glenn Miller record, and I think it was Pennsylvania 65000, for whatever reason, wasn't a dub. It wasn't like, you expect it to be a dub, but it was actually a Matrix master pressing off the original Matrix, which is rare. It's very rare. It was like 1 generation removed. And somebody that was like a mega collector told me about this. And I was like, what? So I checked the Matrix number. And sure enough, if you have that record, you have a Matrix pressed, like a master Matrix, like the mother pressed record. And I don't know. Mine's probably down here in my 78s. Gosh, I wish I had the cover so I could show you. I downsized a lot of things, especially display only things. Is this it? No. That's not it either. Dang. I would have loved to show that to you, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. Only problem with those DJ cartridges is the azimuth cannot be adjusted exactly. And the Technics tone arms aren't perfect. Well, and that's the Technics up there. It's one of the ones I've run it on. I've also run it on like an Audio Technica 120, a Crosley C100, C200. Kind of get the same result on all of them. Ortophone bronze is a fine line. Black is Shibata. I have never, okay, this is a revealing statement. As long as I've been doing this, I still haven't even ever had anything besides a conical, which that is, and a elliptical. No microline, no Shibata, none of that stuff. So I haven't experienced any. Same thing with moving coil cartridges. Even though I've got preamps that can handle it, and I've had decks that can actually have a built-in feature for that, I haven't actually had that yet. So it's an entry-level channel, so it's okay. I don't need to have the good stuff. I don't need to have the good stuff. Okay, let's see here. I want to get caught up on comments, and I'll go back into the records. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everybody being here. This is fun. Scott says, just want to say hi and hope you're enjoying the records. Scott, absolutely, my friend. I don't know if you saw that video where we did the unboxing, gave you a huge shout out. And I just want to say thank you so very, very much. We reviewed those and got them all on camera, and they are such fantastic condition that I was in the video. I was like, I've never seen these records look this good before. So they're absolutely pristine. I don't know how you did it, but thank you. I appreciate it so much. I love viewer mail. The generosity that you guys have shown me over the years is incredible. It's exciting to receive a package from you guys. I love it. You guys are so generous. Ralph says 20 people watching and only 11 thumbs up. Yeah, guys, hit that thumbs up. Thank you so much, Ralph. Jack, safe and sound excursion. Sorry I'm late. What's up? We're just hanging out waiting for you, man. Just kidding. I went record shopping today for the first time in a while, so we were kind of going through those records. The first one that I picked up, true to what I said last weekend, is I'm looking for Ella Fitzgerald. So I got my first Ella Fitzgerald record there. Whittier says the Concord Music Black and Bronze are made with the high-end diamonds. You know, which if I could have any Concord, I would want that 25th anniversary. Was it 25th anniversary? It was this chrome one. Oh, it looked good. It looked really cool. Marcus says, I have the gold-covered Glenn Miller 78 set. Ooh? Gold-covered Glenn Miller 78 set. Okay, I need to know more about that. I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, speaking of Glenn Miller gold-covered, the years ago, probably 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years ago, I did a video where I went up to Boulder, Colorado, where they have the Glenn Miller archives partially on display out there. I've had a private tour with Glenn Miller's son, if you can believe it, Steve Miller, who's now since passed. And the also, sadly no longer with us, executor of the Glenn Miller archives at the time, gave me a private tour of the Glenn Miller archives, which is basically the museum of all things Glenn Miller. I mean, everything from recordings to bandstands and everything in between. And I got to spend the day with those guys. In fact, I had Glenn Miller's son in my car, driving around with a bootleg tape of recordings. It's kind of weird. It was still listening to him, but he's the guy that RCA or Sony would go to when it would come to. It's an amazing story how I was blessed with that day. But anyway, all that to say, I've been in the back room and I've seen some stuff. But anybody can go to the public display, which is in a building featured in the movie The Glenn Miller Story with Jimmy Stewart. If you remember the scene where the Glee Club is singing, that building is the building that it's called Old Main, and it's on the CU campus. And the CU campus houses on, I think, the third, maybe the second floor of that building, Old Main. They have a few items from the Glenn Miller archives on display, including a wall of gold records. But most importantly, the very first gold record ever issued, which was to Glenn Miller for Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's on display up there. I filmed. If you want to see it, I filmed up there, and I was within 2 inches of seeing this thing. It's in a glass case, and it's a funny thing is it's not an actual gold record. It's a stamper, but it must be like a B stamp. Let's see, what is it? Well, it can't be a stamper because it's got female grooves, so it's gonna have to. I know it's a metal part, is what I'm trying to say. It may not be a stamper, but it must be a matrix. Anyway, it's one of the metal parts that is actually spray painted gold, and a label is stuck on there. So it's not a real gold record. It's not even a real record, but it's on display. The very first gold record for Chattanooga Choo Choo, and I saw the Chattanooga Choo Choo in Chattanooga, Tennessee when we drove out here. Also did a short video on that. I love Glenn Miller, in other words. 1895 with a $100 LP gear stylus would really blow your mind. I love the 1895s. It's a great one. Absolutely. Miles High, 3 turntables, a direct drive, a belt drive, an idler wheel, all brands you never probably heard of. Try me. I want to hear what they are. Marcus says I have an ATLP 60X, a Yamaha receiver, Polk home audio speakers, an Onkyo 6 CD changer. They always try to one-up everybody with their 6 CD changers, not just 5. And a Pioneer tape deck. Those Pioneer tape decks are amazing. The one you posted a video of that you just had the cover of. I have to look at that and see. There's a silver-colored Concorde fine line at 700 euros. A little bit out of my range. Marcus says with red binding. Yeah, I think that's the one I was talking about that has the Matrix pressed record. Yeah, the Swing series. Yeah. But they're not gold. I mean, the actual records are just black label records, and they have like a secondary, like a dub label. But like I said, that one disc, Pennsylvania 65000, I think is an actual master press. I know. I have seen that Glenn Miller gold cover set before. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they do have pictures of gold records. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Scott says, just take care of them, and I have had them for years, and I have other good versions of them. I know you would enjoy them. Oh, I'm so blessed to have them, Scott. What's the story of finding them like that? You never find those in that good a condition. So I'm curious, because I don't think that you're old enough to be the original owner. So I'm curious how they came into your possession, because they're such fantastic records. They are brand new. They're not yellow. They're not discolored. The labels, the jackets, everything is pristine. Whittier says, Ortophone Concorde Century is silver colored. The fine line cartridge, the black actually has a better Shibata diamond. Marcus says, do you know Glenn Miller had more hits than the Beatles in his day, and he's less talked about today? Well, and he was the star. He was one of the first artists that teenagers were interested in. Him and other in that era, like Frank Sinatra, were the first ones that would get screaming teenagers. And absolutely, just a huge hit maker at the time. My turntables are UK made. Ariston, it's from Belgium. I don't know that one. P.E. Ebner, I don't know that one. And Brazel made Gradiente. Okay, you're right. I've never heard of any of those. When I think of UK, I think of Garrard. I think of BSR. I think of the BSR offshoot company, which I had the changer. Looked just like a BSR, but it wasn't. I think of Dan Zett Juniors. It just has Glenn Miller. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay. I'm getting too confused, Marcus. Greg says, do you have the rock record Boston or a rock CD Boston? I don't have any Boston music. Miles, I do love the Glenn Miller story with Jimmy Stewart. Oh, yeah, I love it, absolutely. Okay, moving on to I'll get caught back up on the comments hopefully soon. So, next thing I found, I was at the register and I saw this on the wall. And I'm going to ask about that. I have 2 copies of this. This is the one and only official Patsy Cline box set. This is like 1991, MCA Records. They released 2 versions, CDs and tapes, and I've got both, and I still want to buy it. I see these every once in a while, and I've seen them at record stores for like $7 to $10, which is a really fair price. Online, people will sell these for 15 to all the way up to ridiculous prices like 100. Don't pay that much for it. This is $7. You open it up, and the first thing you see is a booklet. Remember these long boxes? By the way, do you know what long boxes were designed for? They're 12-inch tall, which just so happens to be the same height by no accident as a record. And the reason why is the display cases were designed to accommodate vinyl records, and when CDs and tapes came along, the packaging didn't fit. If it was too small, so they created long boxes for cassettes and CDs that would, and also notice how the name of it's at the top, because when you're flipping through, this is the part you see, not what's down here. And so long boxes were designed for that purpose, so that they can reuse old display cases with the new, smaller media. Anyway, the first thing you see when you open it up is this. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got the autographed one. Then you think to yourself, wait a minute. Patsy Cline died in a plane crash, tragically, in 1963. So anything with CDs or compact cassettes, probably not going to be around during her time. That being said, it is such a convincing looking, it looks like a blue ballpoint pen autograph, obviously a reproduction, that people, oh, this is cool. It's got the original owner's name. May of 92 is when Chris got this. People all the time on eBay will list these as autographed copy. And I tried to mention to them in a non-Karen way that. No, I wish it was, but it's not autographed. Anyway, so this book is worth the price of admission. And if you had to go to a desert island with one Patsy Cline collection, this is the one to have. She recorded, I think, about 119, maybe 115 songs in her lifetime, not including radio broadcasts. This has like 104. It has all but like 9 or 10 or 11 of her songs that the producers, and in their infinite wisdom, even though they could have fit every single song she ever recorded in the studio on here, decided to leave off like a CD's worth. And so you got to go track those down. But they replaced it with some broadcast material. But besides that, it's the closest thing to a complete collection. This book, and I say book, not booklet, because it's sizable, is so fantastic. So it's got biographical stuff, pictures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when you go to the end, it has a complete discography. And for a collector, it shows you everything: the recording date, the personnel, the catalog number, the matrix numbers, everything for every EP. And it's broken out by category. So it's got albums, singles, et cetera, re-releases. This is a particularly helpful one if you're looking for finding the first records. As you can see up there, Coral. She released her first song, so she was under contract to a guy named Bill McCall in Los Angeles. And Bill had a record label called 4 Star Records. And he was like super El Cheapo with it too, because what he did was he had in-house writers that meant that he didn't have to pay writers royalties for. So he would, have these lowball and rather low quality songs that were in his catalog. Patsy Cline signed up for this record deal and with 4 Star, and they didn't release records under their own label. So any 4 Star record label you see out there is a DJ copy, a demo copy. They weren't released commercially. So 4 Star Records would contract with another label, in this case, Decca. And Decca had a budget label called Coral, as you can see right there. So being a new artist, she was released on Coral for the first 3 records, as you can see right there. If I can manage to point. So if you want the first of the first Patsy Cline records, they are on Coral Records. Now, after her contract finally expired with Bill McCall, she signed a direct deal with Decca, even though Chet Atkins at RCA was trying to woo her over to RCA, and at one point she intended to do that. Well, Decca gave her a square deal in 1960. And it's a good thing because she went on to record her most well-known material. So for the record collector, this is a great booklet. It really is. In addition to the biographical data, this is how I tracked down the right. So I knew I've got her first record up there on 45. They were issued on the first few records on 78 and 45, and I paid a reasonable but considerable amount for that. So like I said, this is the cassette version, and that's all I did. I put the thing back together, and I paid for it, and I left. And when I got home, I'm flipping through these, and I was curious if they were sealed or not. And I get to, let's see, cassette number 3 feels a little lightweight. That's because it's empty. Beginner's mistake, you guys, and I'm terrible about that. Still, $7 for 3 out of the 4 cassettes. I already own it. I have another copy, and it's still a good deal. Like I said, the booklet itself is worth it, and it's a cool display piece too. I wish there was more. I love the era of box sets like this. They just don't do it. And then you had to figure out when you were looking at box sets, are they real or is it something from Madison or Laserlight? Is it a knockoff? What is it? So anyway, I picked this up, $7, even with the missing tape. Great to have. This is just a great collection. If you don't know where to start with Patsy Cline, just start with this. You can start and finish and have it all. Nearly have it all. All right, let me get caught up on comments. We'll go on to the next record. I have the LP3 turntable too, and I love it. Yeah, David, it's a great turntable, and that's the one that has the built-in moving coil preamp switch selector for it. Like you can actually, it's got the ability to power a moving coil cartridge, which is rare. The turntables would have that, absolutely. Whittier says, Perpetuan Ebner must be a thing less to do the professional radio use. It's just out of my league. That's probably why I've not heard of it. Ivy Poison, welcome in. My Elvis cassette box has the same format. I wonder if that was a common, box format. Miles, I have the soundtrack for the Patsy Cline story movie. Some of them, and here's the thing too, for the Patsy Cline collectors out there, they know that if you collect things newer than the 60s era originals, they especially into the 80s when the movie came out and things were done in that regard, there was a lot of dubs released where they would keep the vocal track because Owen Bradley recorded 3-track half-inch tapes for the most part, so her vocals were isolated. So what they're able to do is take the isolation tracks. Now they can't because all her master tapes have been destroyed except for the album dub reel for Greatest Hits. That's a separate story for a different day. They all burned in the 2008 Universal fire, which is right in Courthouse Square, Back to the Future. By the way, did you guys see the news? Wait a minute. I got it wrong. Gang jailed. Hoverboard rampage destroys courthouse. I was framed! Anyway, right, literally within Courthouse Square, maybe one building away is where that vault was. And some idiot was using a blowtorch to melt ceiling tiles and sticking them on the tar, and he caught it on fire, unfortunately. I don't think anybody was injured, thankfully. But anyhow, they take those isolation tracks and they add new music, modern music, and it's corny. It's bad. I just don't like the dubs for the most part. I don't like the dubs. Finally, people came to their senses by the late 80s. MCA was reissuing things with the original mixes again. So it's kind of this weird era of late 70s, early 80s Patsy Cline music that has the terrible dubs. Not dubs. What's the term? You know what I'm talking about. So basically they're new music, same vocals. Japanese records sometimes come with very fancy looking autograph inserts like Album Agnes and Wonderland. Interesting. Wow, you know a lot of stuff, my friend. You're educating me. I love it. Thank you very much. Greg, I don't have any Boston. I don't. Whittier says probably just a printed autograph. Howdy, folks. Welcome in. Grady Grupo Vintage Recordings. I love these usernames. These are great. She'll use fine line diamonds because the Japanese groove standard and records is so cool. I didn't know that either. Fast Hunter says, so Patsy Cline was first on Coral Records and went to Decca. Wasn't Buddy Holly also on Coral? Yes, and he recorded in a year before. Buddy Holly pre-Crickets recorded in Owen Bradley's Quonset Hut studio, the same studio where Patsy Cline recorded all her stuff, almost all her stuff, a year before she did start recording. And if you hear those pre-Crickets Buddy Holly recordings, they're really something else. I've been to that studio on the outside. You can actually get in there. It's a school now. But Owen Bradley's original studio still stands. Not the house. There was a house next to it with a basement, TV studio, recording studio, and then there was the main studio. B was a Quonset hut. That's still standing, but the original house isn't. Yeah, first on Coral for a few, and then on Decca, and then but she was actually not a Decca recording artist. They licensed her music, Four Star did, to Decca. Then by 1960, she was actually assigned directly to Decca. But all of her music was originally released on either Coral or Decca. And yes, Buddy Holly was also on Coral. Greg, Miles High has all 3 Boston albums. That's cool. Somebody left the tape in the player. Of what machine? Hold on a second. I got to mute my mic. That was really fun. Okay, so let's see here. Somebody left the tape in the player. I do that all the time. In fact, my tape deck right now has a tape in it. Putting it back in there. Noah, welcome in. We're just looking through some records I picked up today. I was lucky to find Patsy on the Decca 56, I think, Canadian release LP. You know, it's really weird, and I promised to get off the Patsy Cline thing because I can just go on and on. They came out with a re-release, Vinyl Me Please, which is a subscription service, came out with an exclusive tricolor version of the original jacket art, album art of Showcase, her second album. And it features an original album reel as a source material in mono, but it's not known to exist. So I emailed a friend of mine who's he's like the definitive Patsy Cline discography expert, and he's taught me a lot of things and told me a lot of behind the scenes stuff when it comes to her music. And I said, hey, I thought the only album or the only tape material Patsy Cline left was the 1967 Greatest Hits album reel, which was on loan in Nashville at the time, and that's why it avoided the fire, 2008. And he's like, yeah, that's my understanding as well. So his theory is that there was a Canadian album dupe. An album reel is always a dupe. So a half-inch, reel of tape. Duplication that was in Canada that was used for that particular reissue. It sounds great. Also, some of her records were reissued on Everest Records. And the Everest releases are cool. They're kind of usually blue. They've got a mountain that kind of points up. So it's kind of a little visual gimmick so you can see where the record's spinning. And I saw recently that the Canadian Everest releases are in red, and they look really cool. Actually, are they Canadian? Maybe they're Australian. They were expensive. There's one on eBay now, and it's like out of my comfort zone of what I would want to spend for it. But they look sharp. They looked really sharp. Rolling Stones in mono-colored vinyl. That sounds good. Fast Hunter says, me personally, I'm thinking about getting some Patsy Cline records. Just ordered the limited edition new Johnny Cash vinyl. That's great. So, Fast Hunter, where to start? Start with the 3 albums released during her lifetime. Her self-titled 1957 up here. Harder to find and more expensive on this Decca label. Usually the 1960 reissue on the Decca Rainbow label is more affordable. Showcase is the second one, and then Sentimentally Yours. You can get all 3 of those and have all 3 albums that she recorded during her lifetime. Then there's another 4 that were released after her untimely passing. All right, next record I picked up today, another one of the $2 Ella Fitzgeralds I was mentioning. We got Ella in Berlin, Mac the Knife. This is a Verve release. I love the artwork for Verve Records. Love it, love it, love it. Look at the back of this. This is so jazzy and cool looking. Absolutely fantastic. I haven't even, looked at this pressing to see if it's good. It's got that classic black and silver Verve label. It looks to be in quite playable condition. This is catalog number MGV 4041. And yeah, I would say this is a VG Plus. I love these kind of rounded edge sleeves. They'll get the job. It's better than just having it in a crunchy plastic sleeve or no sleeve. I will replace these all with proper anti-static rice paper sleeves. But this will be good stuff. This one definitely, I looked at the track listing on this earlier. This has got some of those greatest hits material. So Lady is a Tramp, Summertime, Too Darn Hot, Mac the Knife, How High the Moon, Misty. So yeah, that's $2 well spent. Jacket's in decent condition, some water damage, as you can see down there, but that's okay. That stuff doesn't bother me in the slightest. I buy records to listen to them for the most part, which is why when I wanted to frame this record, my wife was giving me so much crap about displaying records. She's like, we don't remember, and she's saying what I was saying. She's like, we don't display records. We listen to them, right? I'm like, yeah, but these are special. I want to display them. All right, this is the record that I was saying. I'm not sure if I should have done it. It could have been an impulse buy. Well, it was an impulse buy, but it could have been a bad deal. Noah Levine says, do you have any of the Time Life Big Band series? I'm almost finished with the set, missing the last few. I have the flexi disc ad for that, and I have one volume. I think I have maybe 2 volumes of that. 1 or 2 volumes. That's a great set. You have a nice Technics in the background. Could basically be used with any cartridge without a quality bottleneck. Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to try one of those cartridges. That's an SLB5 changer. And yes, I do have the hard to find in good condition 45 stacker spindle as well as a regular stacker spindle and a single spindle. All right, so this is the most expensive record I bought today. It is $20.98. Patsy Cline's Greatest Hits. This is not the official MCA because MCA bought Decca, became Decca. Decca became MCA, which became Universal Music Group, and it keeps going. Anyway, this is not the lineage of those releases. This is not. There is a new 2024 release of the Greatest Hits album on, I think, a pink vinyl new album art. I haven't picked that up yet. I will probably do that if I can make that happen. This is sealed, and I'm going to open it right now before your eyes. I paid $20.98 for that. I have a feeling that was a bit much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Amazon on my phone. I'm going to scan the QR code. I'm going to see how much I could have gotten it for on Amazon. $20.99. Okay, I feel better. I paid the right amount. It's an import, and I want to mention this. It's an import. It's by notnowmusic.com, European Union, made in the EU, MCPS. MCPS, you'll see on CDs too, basically means that royalties were paid appropriately, which I'm glad to hear because Patsy Cline's daughter, Julie Fudge, is still running the show, and I want the family. Her son is alive as well, I believe, to benefit from the music. It's only fair. So there it is without it's got a nice kind of satin finish to it. There's the back. Now with these European Union third-party releases, sometimes they use poor source material. I have a European Union originated copy of Showcase that features an extra song. It's on this really thick, nice pressed red clear vinyl, but the sound quality is very harsh. And they use alternate takes, some live takes and things. Here's a picture of the label there. So some of the source material, it's rumored that sometimes some of these releases can be sourced from compact disc, which is not ideal for pressing and mastering vinyl. This is 180 gram pressing, fairly tightly packed. As you can see there, we've got 7 songs on that side. It feels, the hub is flat. It's not a raised hub, and it feels like a new record. So the edge is a little flat on one side and a little pointed on the other, but looks to be good for what it is. I'm going to put it back in its paper sleeve now. We'll replace that paper sleeve with a rice paper sleeve. So yeah, that was the expensive record that I picked up today, the new record. But I didn't have it, so I thought I would do it. So that's all I bought today. That was $35. Is that it? So the two, what else did I get? I feel like, the CD box set, or the tape box set, and 3 records. So that's what I got. And I also got a pin, which I don't have in front of me right now, but that's pretty much it. Now I want to go through the records that the friend of mine gifted, but first I want to get caught up on comments, and then I'll kind of blow through these pretty quick because we're already almost to an hour. Let me get caught up on comments. Noah says, I have that Ella in Berlin I love. I also just found Ella sings Yo Beam. Fun fact, Ella won a Grammy for that version of Mac the Knife, which she forgot half the lyrics and really made it up. Wow, that's interesting. There's a Patsy Cline recording of her doing a song that was I used to think it was a Patsy Cline song, but it's actually a Patti Page song, the Tennessee Waltz. And Patsy Cline did a live version of it. She forgot words and kind of made things up. Just kind of funny, but it still sounds good. Whittier says VM95 SH goes for 229 euros here in Finland. So I think I had the VM95E, which was like a $50 cartridge. I also have one Ella album, 1966 Canadian pressing Ella with Marty Page and his orchestra. That's a good orchestra. Grady says, sorry, it's 1957 release. Decca DL 8611, Patsy self-titled album. That's, sorry, it's 1957 release. Yeah, this is DL 8611, and that is the 1957 issue. You can tell by the label. But more commonly is the 1960 repressing on the rainbow label. That's what you see most of the time. Yeah, if you can find 8611, that's the one to go for. And you'll notice the jacket doesn't have any hype on it. There's no, the hype version says Walking After Midnight roughly here. So you want to find the version with no hype. That means it's an original. I've got probably 4 copies of that album, various iterations of it. Fast Hunter says, I feel honored I got my grandma's cassette and record player with speakers from JVC 1987 plus. Well, considered I have only changed the stylus. I'm very happy. That's great. That's excellent. JVC made some great stuff. Stretch44 says, hello, I'm new to record collecting. I enjoy your channel very much. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. We got a lot of great material for you. So welcome in, and a lot of smart people here that know way more than I do. We've put together a playlist of videos for the beginner. So check out that beginner playlist where we go over a lot of basics. So that'll kind of bring you up to speed quickly. And there's a lot of videos in there now. So check those out for sure. Thank you for jumping on here. Really appreciate it. Grady says, I found Ella Sings Cole Porter songbook on Verve. That would be a good one to have. Whittier says, I have a flea market here where I can get some 80s pop vinyl for €1 each. That sounds like a great deal. Yeah, Verve logo is cool. I did some homework. If I recall correctly, the Verve label was created specifically for Ella. Really? That's so cool. Aaron, welcome in. I'm your biggest fan. Oh, I don't have fans, just friends. You guys are awesome. But I am glad to count you among my, thankfully, many friends. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Noah says, if you like Ella, check out Samara Joy, a brand new artist on Verve. She's like a modern Ella. Yeah, I've been following her for quite some time. She's an amazing talent. Absolutely. She really, really is. Whittier says, Japanese LPs always have music grooves like 1 centimeter from the label. Inner grooves are nearly impossible to play without highlights. Really interesting. Is it because they're trying to fit a lot of music? Is the modulation super tight? Okay, so the thunder's rolling. What do we got here? So I'm going to kind of fly through these records that were gifted to me. Why do I have half of a box? Do I not have the bottom? What is this? Okay. What is happening? Okay, I see what's happening now. Okay. Got a couple of records that snuck their way into this box. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I just want to show you. Okay, so these are the gifts from one of my friends. And I don't think I've showed them on the channel before. But we have, I can't even read this writing. But we have this box set right here. Look at the colors. Isn't that wild? This is like a 50s set. I'm guessing this is probably a 50s box set. Cavalria Regusticana Complete Opera. By the way, I'm a huge opera fan. So I will definitely check this out. Now, I wanted to show you these labels. These things also haven't been through the intake process. So I've got these really grungy old paper sleeves, which I just ripped. It's okay. I'm going to replace them all. Check out this label, you guys. This is an example of an early LP. No raised hub. Look at this thing. It's in good condition. 3-dimensional sound. So if this is stereo, then it's probably early 60s. to do a Discogs lookup. Anybody want a Discogs search for me? 3-dimensional sound. What is this? R199-175-1-A. So that's a box set. I think there's 3 records in there. This is, you see this stuff at the thrift store all the time where the box is just like falling apart like that. But, you know, could be repaired. One time I did a video on repairing things like this where you just, you know, you're not trying to save the world. This is, most of this stuff isn't rare. It's just, you know, well used. Taking some tape and things and just making it nicer. I don't see anything wrong with that. Next record I got, love some Johnny Mathis. This is more greatest hits. You know you got it when you have not greatest hits album isn't enough. They need to do more greatest hits. So here's Johnny, who is he's got the Dick Clark syndrome where he's eternally young. He's eternally young. This guy's still performing. He just had an album or an EP come out last Christmas, I think it was. Unstoppable. I mean, this is like 1960 probably, I'm guessing. So let's see what we got on here. Teacher, Teacher, probably my favorite non-Christmas Johnny Mathis song. Obviously, Columbia was Johnny's label. And it's a Columbia 6i. If you've never heard of that, see how there's a 6 eyes on there? Those were sort of the best sounding Columbias. And if you get a 6i, it's the best. Yeah, picture of Johnny on the back there. I love his humble persona. Just a kind man from all accounts that I can tell. All right, next up, we have Roger Williams, Near You. Roger Williams music is some of that Cap Records, sort of a value label. Roger Williams is the kind of music that you can, wow, this is a cool label. And a thick record, wow. This is a 180-gram record. Look at that. I've seen a lot of Cap records. I've never seen that one. Slightly raised hub. This is a well-loved record, but it's definitely listenable. I'm trying to say is this is a great record to work by. This music would be great to work and have playing in the background. Next up, big Broadway fan. So Annie Get Your Gun with Mary Martin. If that name rings a bell, she was also in Sound of Music. So Mary Martin, Annie Get Your Gun with John Raitt. He was also a big name as well. Capitol Records, usually opera, classical, and Broadway all got the special treatment in terms of, you know, living stereo in the case of RCA, 6i pressings in the case of Columbia, and then for Capitol, let's see what they did here. So we've got a full sleeve. I keep the vintage sleeves, by the way. If they've got something cool on them like this, even though I won't use them, I'll still keep them. This one has the previous owner's name on it, but you could see it as a silver and white Capitol label. So I'm not sure if this is the sort of audiophile grade pressing, but I was going to say usually the Broadway records get that treatment as well. So anyway, that was W913 on the Capitol label. I love the cover art. I love the color. Yeah, definitely got some good stuff. Huge blessing. I've got some more too. Let me stop on, check out the comments here. So this is really interesting. You guys are teaching me about this. So the Japanese pressings, you got to have a nice cartridge to play those. That's really interesting. Asian Pop. It's funny. John Denver. Yeah, but that is interesting. I'm a label guy too, says Grady. So many great label designs. There are. And if you are a label guy, as am I, definitely I would encourage you to buy and start collecting the Knox record catalogs, which if you go to, what is his website, 78rpm.com, he does these auctions quarterly where, you know, they auction off thousands of records, super rare stuff. But what I love about it is the artwork for his catalogs. If you're a label guy, check that out. Tell me that's not the coolest thing. So they have, by the way, one of my favorite labels of all time right there, the Bluebird label. Look at some of those. Aren't those so neat? Warner Brothers Pictures. That's going to be cool. You can find some super cool stuff. We did a video where we toured their facility, and I saw crazy things, you guys. And I filmed it. A 2-part video. The Willy Wonka of records is what I called those videos. Go back and check those out. We see the first sound recordings ever made in Africa. We saw discs that were used to play the background music in silent movies. It was insane. Johnny was one of my parents' faves. I might have been conceived to him. I really don't want to know what I was conceived to, but that's an interesting thought. If the music just is you play it and you just think to yourself, man, I like this music and I don't know why. Maybe that's why. Noah with the super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. You're awesome. Thank you so much. You are awesome. Super chats never, ever expected, but always appreciated. Thank you so much. Yay, that's great. That's really, really nice of you. Appreciate all you guys being here. Whittier says you got some good stuff. Yeah, I did. I'm so blessed. Thank you for hanging out with me as we look through it. I have a few records with owners' names on them too. Obviously, they took the places, didn't want to lose them. Yep, it's interesting. It's part of the history and books too that they do that. My cartridge is an 1895, but it has glued on LP gear Vivid line modded with a surgical nut. What? This is amazing stuff. Next record. This is so cool. Mickey Mouse Club, Walt Disney. I'm a huge Disney fan. Disneyland Records, one of my favorite. This is a stereo record. This is a 70s release. And this is the Mickey Mouse Club. Mouse-Cadance is another Mouseketeer favorites. And just look at the artwork on here. What I love the most about this is down here, these two, Spin and Marty from the Triple R Ranch. There's a song on here from that show. So when the Mickey Mouse Club was on television, they would do cereals, which were not a delicious breakfast. They were miniature shows within the larger show, and they were serialized, meaning that they would be presented in parts and segments throughout the course of the larger season of the show. So they did this with Spin and Marty. I think they only did one season. So there's Spin and Marty. It was like these two kids that go to a ranch, the Triple R, for summer camp and all their adventures, and it's great. There's an overarching story arc, and then it's episodic. So every single 12-minute episode also has a miniature story. Fantastic, and I love the music in it. So this was a huge thumbs up to have. I really enjoyed getting this. So there's interesting song titles on here. We've got Fun with Music. Today is Tuesday. Talent Roundup. Cowboy Needs a Horse, the Triple R song. Those are from that. They also did a Hardy Boys serial, I think the following year. 2 seasons of that. Mouse-Cadance, Mickey Mouse Mambo, the Pussycat Polka, Mouse Cartoon Time, and many more. Simple Simon, I'm No Fool, the Mickey Mouse March. And again, this is a reprint. This is a re-release. 1362 on Disneyland Records. This is the yellow and black Disneyland label. I love the Sunburst Disneyland Records label. I had a bunch of those. Still do as a kid. All right, next up, we've got more Roger Williams. With these hands. With these hands. Some of these titles, album titles are crazy. But yeah, Roger Williams, great music to work to on Cap Records. And some more Roger Williams titles available to add to your collection right there as well. And it's on that same cool-looking, funky label. Fast Hunter says, I only got one issue with my record player. It only plays out of one speaker, and the sound is very low and static on the other one, so I need to tinker with it. That's frustrating, isn't it? I learned a lot from you about buying quality turntables. Greg, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Whittier, those 1895 modding instructions are found from YouTube. So you get some amazing sound quality improvements, or is it more of a compatibility with playing the Japanese issues? Miles High says, Oh, a wooden body. I would love to find and get some cartridges with a wooden body and give that a listen. I know the Japanese are really big on wood when it comes to headphone shells and also for cartridge bodies. Miles High says, so Japanese releases are pressed on virgin vinyl, not recycled vinyl like in North America. Plus, they stop pressing before the master starts to degrade. Each release has its own OBI paper label. That's interesting. I got to look into this more. Noah says, finally completed my Glenn Miller Bluebird set. I found volume 4 and 7. No way. I found volume 4 and 7. So are you talking about the LP set? The reason why I ask is ouch. Okay. I had a moment this week. I thought I was missing some. So if you're talking about the 1970s set made from metal parts duplication tapes, curated by Frank Driggs. Yes, the 9-volume set, Noah. I have the whole set, and I didn't realize that I did. So since you mentioned it, here's mine. There's volume 1. All of these kind of have a unique cover to them, but I love on the back with the blue. I don't think Glenn Miller was ever issued on that iteration of that label. That being said, it's still cool. Here is volume 2. And if you saw my show about fake stereo, these are all mono, true mono. By the 70s, they knew what to do. Here's the volume 3. This is like the definitive set of Glenn. If you're a Glenn Miller vinyl collector, these are the definitive ones to have. 9-volume set, reissued on compact disc in 1991. Look at that. It's a pillow. Isn't that cool? Each one of these covers. And each one of them is a gatefold 2-disc set. And in the gatefold, there is, in sort of pieces, the story of the Glenn Miller Orchestra. And here is disc number 9, which is alternate takes. So if you have the compact disc, I think it's a 12 CD set. It comes with this booklet. And again, the CD set, I went through this stupid phase. I don't know if you guys ever did this, but I went through this stupid phase where I got rid of all my CD jewel cases and I put them in these stupid computer slipcase things for like software CDs, thinking that I would, take up less space. I kept the inserts, but I lost the jewel cases to almost all my CDs up to that point. Then I quickly stopped doing that. And I, like an idiot, I did that to this box set, throwing away the actual box. But I do have this book that came with it. And what I was going to say is, I was saying in each one of those volumes, they have a bit of the story. Well, in this booklet, they put it all together into one giant narrative with the pictures and all that stuff. It's the same exact set. There was a Japanese issue of this set as well on vinyl, I believe, before the CD issue came out. But that's great you collected it. I'm glad you found it. I did not know I had it. Up until this week when I verified, I thought I was missing 1 or 2 or maybe 3 volumes. And I counted. I'm like, wait a minute, I have the whole set. I didn't realize I had put it together. Vast Hunter says, love being part of this community. We all geek out about different pressings and artists and respect each other's tastes. Absolutely. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It really is. All right. So Whittier says, 1895 with LP gear, vivid line stylus is a beast. I think it works as good as a moving magnet. Cartridge cannot get much better. Just different. Interesting. My turntable is a Technics 100C. All right, I got to look that up. I'm going to look it up right now. SL100C. Oh, nice. It's $1,100 turntable. You got nice taste, my friend. That is a beautiful machine. Absolutely beautiful. So right now I'm running 3 turntables on the daily. I've got the U-turn custom. Essentially, I've got the upgrades on that. So the acrylic platter and all that stuff. I've got a little LP Go, which is an LP60X right here. And then I've got the Technics SLB5 up here. This is I go to a desert island and I have to take one with me. This is the one that's coming. Perfect condition. New belt. Right now I've got a Grado Gold Prestige 2. If money were no object, probably all my cartridges would be Grados because the sound of a Grado is immaculate. The warmth is incredible. So this is a gold. Interesting how they get the way that they differentiate their Prestige line. So they actually are all the same cartridge, but depending on when they come off the assembly line and they run tests on the stylus of the cartridges as it come off, depending on how they perform, they are grouped into anything from the black, which is the entry level $100 version, all the way up to the gold, which is like $270 high end version. Now the Prestige line for Grado is their entry level line. They have some crazy wooden body cartridges, many thousands of dollars. But yeah, that's my best cartridge right there. It's elliptical. It's nothing fancy, but it's warm. It sounds incredible. The stylus, when it goes, is going to be expensive to replace. Hope it doesn't end up like my beautiful Ortophone 2M78, which is one of my 78 cartridges. I snapped off the cantilever with my fat thumb, and I just haven't had the stomach to buy the stylus replacement for it. So for playing 78s right now, I'm using a 3600, which I know is a stereo cartridge, and that's not ideal for playing mono records, but I've got the fan steel 3 mil on that. Man, I've gone down a lot of tangents. Okay, we got two more records to talk about, and then we'll get caught back up on comments. So the next record that he sent me is another Mickey Mouse Club record. This one is the all-new Mickey Mouse Club. Now, this is very 70s looking. They tried to reinvent and keep current. And Disney does that all the time. They're always trying to kind of evolve. 1950, 60, 70, 5, 6, 7. 1977. Great condition. Love the color. Really, really neat. Original TV cast album on Disneyland Records. This is my favorite Disneyland record label. This is what I call the Sunburst label. It's all nostalgia. That's the one that I had growing up on the records I had as a kid. So, yeah, this is a fun one to have. It needs a sleeve. It needs to be cleaned. It's in loved condition, but it's definitely listenable. I had a poster inside at one point. No longer in here, at least not that I can see. Let's see what do we got in here. Some good Ohio medley. Let's Go Day. Walking the Dog. Mickey Mouse March. I think you have to have that. Showtime Mickey Mouse. Alma Mater. Yeah. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. And finally, we end with another Disney record. This one is a hefty set. Is there something jammed in here? Hold on a second. Yeah, it's one of these gatefold storybook albums. Hans Christian Andersen on Disneyland Records, and it's hefty. It's like a 2-disc set. The music, the stories of Hans Christian Andersen. And this is a gatefold. And what's cool about it is it's a storybook gatefold. So full color storybook pages. You don't get, this is the epitome of, I'm going to try and get this on frame. This is the epitome of tactile interaction with your media. Look at that. These are totally perfect condition. The color of the pages is not deteriorated whatsoever. That's about half of it. And then the records itself is on the purple. This is the label that came after the yellow Disneyland label and before the Sunburst. It's the purple Disneyland label. And what's really cool, it's a 2-disc. I'm stacking 2 records on top of each other. Don't do that. Is it's got the original sleeve too. Buena Vista Records. Look at that. Buena Vista Records, Disneyland Records are sort of synonymous. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I'll definitely be keeping that for sure. Beautiful. And that's it. That's enough. I was very blessed to receive all of this. And it was fun to record shop. I have to do it every once in a while. I was really getting the urge to go and just do some crate digging and flipping and whatnot. And I looked at my list that I made, and I was able to find a couple of things that I didn't have. And I have a space issue with record storage right now. I am a good solid crate beyond how many crates I have of records. So I'm getting to the point where I've got some leaning up here and there. And what I need to do is preen my collection. I need to go through and find records that need to be gifted or moved on or sold or something that I don't need or want anymore, and find new homes for them. Again, the new record shopping was done at East West Records. I love these guys. It's a great store, and they're very kind. They've got a good selection, even though it's a smaller store. Lots of CDs, probably half CDs, half records. And you guys know I love CDs, so that was a no-brainer. And I'm trying to think of what else. So hopefully you guys saw our weekend show, which is that Victrola we bought with a suitcase player with a tape deck in it. Check that out if you have it. As far as suitcase players go, it's one of the better ones we've reviewed. And it sounded good for what it was. We did some direct feeds. If you've never owned a suitcase player and you just hear all of the negativity around it, but you've never really heard one, check out that show, because we do a direct feed with the record player and the tape deck. You can judge for yourself what you think of it. Okay. Noah says, are you still using the Ampapa preamp you reviewed? If so, how is it? I was thinking of getting it when I upgrade my setup. So I don't think I'm using that preamp right now. No, I'm not. I used it for a while, and it's now, I have a few of them now, so I kind of put them on rotation. I'm using the Duke Audio. For the U-turn, I'm using the Duke Audio tube preamp. It's the vertical one with the 2 tubes and the VU meter. That's a great one. I love that. The LP Go as a built-in, so I'm using that just to kind of save space on the desktop. And this is going to kill you. I don't know if I should say this out loud. And there's no reason to change it because it's working. But my Technics is in the vintage turntables, you have to have a preamp because none of them have it built in. The Technics is using a Crosley P10 preamp. So I've got this little metal solid state preamp back there. It does good. It's a basic unit. We reviewed it on the show, and it works really good. This thing sounds fantastic. So yeah, I've got the Ampapa in there. I don't think I gave that away. I'm not sure. But anyway, some good stuff in there for sure. Your old Technics would be my choice too. Yeah, it's a good unit. It really is. Now, I have had a few Technics. I also have an SL-BD22 that has a broken tone arm that was replaced by a jeweler, and he assured me that he did it with precision, and I still have some tracking issues with that. So I've tried it I love how small it is, like 1987 era. It's a beautiful semi-automatic, but I just start getting this almost like a buildup of static, and it just starts sounding really, really rough after a period of time, and it's done it every time I've had it out. It's also missing the dust cover and stuff. I paid like $40 for it, which is probably it's more like a $20 turntable. But I've also had the SL-BD20, which is the predecessor. I've had maybe one or two other Technics that I've had and sold, but this one stays. It's just it's a beautiful machine. My son's friend's dad had this in his garage, and they were cleaning out, and it had been in a box, in its original box, for probably 20 plus years. Dust cover was immaculate. The belt had deteriorated, so I ordered one of those, and it had no stylus. It came with a gold ring. Is it a gold ring? No, it's an Empire ID55. I need to get a stylus for this too. They look really cool. They've got like a clear orange. Look at the size of the generator on that thing. That's a big generator. I would love to listen to this cartridge, but I replaced the cartridge, replaced the belt. It's perfect. It works perfect. There's a little bit of platter wobble, minimal platter wobble, but those are the ones I'm listening to right now. Also on rotation is my Pioneer PLX 500 direct drive, and a few others, but those are the ones that I'm listening to right now the most. Fast Hunter says, from what I can see, they're going to do a high-quality pressing, 180-gram limited edition Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. I think I heard about that. Yeah, that would be cool. Cash is awesome. I've got some Cash albums. My mom and dad saw him in concert in Denver once, and apparently my mom took it was a camera, and when Johnny Cash bent over to do his bows, they were like third row, and she set off this flash in his face, and he looked so mad in it. She did that. It's kind of funny. Love those Disney records would buy if the price is right. That's the same way I feel about them too. Is if the price is right, I'll go for them. Lots of fun tonight, says Mile Highest. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here. What other record community YouTubers do you watch, if any? That's a good question, Noah. So I watch Tech Moan. I watch Via Westlife. Via Westlife was one of... I talked to 3 YouTubers before I started this channel in 2017. I talked to Matt, Tech Moan. I talked to Via Westlife, Kevin. And I talked to... what's the guy's name? Vinyl Eyes, Jarrett, and got advice. Kind of what I want to do this YouTube thing, but I don't want to do like high end stuff. I want to do the entry level. I want to make it approachable for the beginner. What should I do? And I got some advice from them. It was really fun. So I like watching those channels. Jarrett's channel is probably the least of those 3 favorite for me. I really love Tecmo and Via Westlife's channel. I watch Channel 33 RPM. I watch, even though his music tastes are so different than mine, it's a good show. I like the show construct, and we've traded some topics. Let's just say that back and forth, which is fun. And some others that come. There's been a few others that I've kind of watched over the years, but those are the main ones that I watch. It's fun. I love doing that stuff. Cheap Audio Man is so successful, and he didn't upload his first video until like 2020, and he's already surpassed us by leaps and bounds, which is really interesting. For my videos, I try to set myself apart by a couple of things that we do that nobody else does. Number one, I'm on camera for every video, not because I like to see myself, because I don't, but one of my other mentors, not one of those YouTubers, but somebody else. Actually, I can tell you, it's Lou Mangello, who does a podcast and things all about Walt Disney World, and very successful, high level success. Told me that I really needed to have a personal interaction with my audience, so that's why I do the intro and outro. It's kind of got the TV show format, and nobody else really does it like that as much. Also, made it very personable. It's more of a we're friends hanging out doing this, instead of I'm the instructor telling you. Part of that is because I don't know as much as a lot of you, and I've learned from you way more than I've taught. So I've never been here to lecture. It's always been here to experiment together. I'm a novice, and again, that's not something a lot of YouTubers say. Another thing that we do differently is we give back a lot, and can't think of any other vinyl YouTuber that gives away turntables and records and accessories. And we do it all the time. A few Christmases ago, we had like a pallet load of new record players we gave out to people. Tim Allen is another YouTuber I like. Tim Allen, not Home Improvement Tim Allen, but Vinyl Tim Allen is a good buddy of mine. And I like his shows, and he jumps on here sometimes too. Anyway, there's so many good folks. A lot of you guys have your own channels, and I do pop in and watch. But yeah, we try to give away stuff. What other YouTube channel reviewing record players gives away record players all the time? I mean, we try to do that. We try to give back. You know what I mean? Try to be friends. That's what it's all about. By the way, there's a mid-roll coming. I apologize. YouTube is going to do their thing, unfortunately. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute anyway. Let me get through the comments. Fast Hunter says, Hans Christian Andersen, love his story, especially as a Dane. Whittier says, I run Project Phonobox SE2 with modded oversized Panasonic capacitors. That's cool. I'm trying to think. Is it IFI preamps? I have a few of those. In fact, we're about to review a new IFI preamp. I think they run Panasonic capacitors. I'm not sure, but they kind of publish all of their parts vendors, which is kind of interesting. Miles High says, oh, he's talking to Fast Center. Old direct drive Technics tables are reasonably priced usually, and they work. Yes, exactly. $40 mid 80s Technics turntables are a good value. Yeah. Technics at EPC 270C moving magnet cartridge. His old Technics tables is crazy good if you use a Gico special stylus like SAS. I need to learn more from you, Whittier. I'm already learning a lot, but I'm fascinated by this. Feel free to shoot me an email. Bring me up to speed on cartridges. First, watch my cartridge videos, find out what my level is, and then bring me up to your level. Dude Dave's Records. Hey, welcome in. We're just finishing up, but we're going to post it so you can walk back and watch it. Sorry about that. Remember the Columbia Records 6i hi-fi and stereo fidelity labels? Yes, John. We just got done reviewing a stack of records. We had a couple 6i's come up in that. Jared, I thought you guys had a feud over Crosley's. Oh, he's no fan of Crosley's. He had a video where he banged one up. He smashed one up. We disagree, but that's okay. I don't expect people to just agree with me on everything. I got an opinion. He's got an opinion, and that's fine. I feel differently about them than he does. And I think that he needs to broaden his, how should I say this? I think that when he does his top record players, it's always U-Turn and Fluence, which are great. They are great, but there's a lot more out there. So I would love to see him, expand his horizons and whatnot. But he does a great show. Again, far more successful than me. So he's doing something right. I mean, who am I to say anything to him? But he apparently knows what he's doing. He's got a great audience. Not as good as our audience, though. We have the best audience, and I appreciate you guys so very, very much. But no, there's no active feud that I know of anyway. That'd be kind of fun. That would be kind of fun to have a feud. A very, very jovial, tongue-in-cheek feud. All right, my friends. I want to say thank you for being there. We went an hour and a half, and it just goes by so fast because it's so fun to hang out with you guys. Hope you have a wonderful night, wonderful evening, a wonderful rest of your weekend. Be blessed. Take care of one another. I thank God for each and every one of you for being there, for all of your support, not just for the channel, but for me, the things I've been going through. I had some medical things over the last 6 months, which are looking much, much better. And I just am so grateful for friends like you to hang out with. So nice to talk and hang out with each and every one of you. If you haven't seen our video for the weekend, go check that out. Check out the playlists. Check out our Kurt Knock videos where we did, if you wanted 2 45-minute shows where we go to show some of the rarest turntables and records you've ever seen in your life in the nondescript bunker that Kurt Knock has near Houston in an undisclosed location where I was escorted under guard. Okay, it wasn't under guard, but we got to see it and film in there, and it was a huge, huge thing. And so check those shows out. They're called the Willy Wonka of Records. If you look on my channel for the Willy Wonka of Records, 2-part show, guaranteed you'll enjoy it. And I will apologize ahead of time. I say incessantly on that show, wow, cool, wow. I'm just so blown. Wow, over and over. I was editing it. I was cringing about I was like, stop saying that. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much. Happy record hunting, my friends. And we will see you next time.